Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Do you see God at work in the big moments in history? In other words, do you think God is behind things and has an active hand in shaping the way big historical events turn out? Nahum did. And his short 3-chapter poem praises God for what God has done to bring about the downfall of Assyria and its capital city, Nineveh. Last week and this week we're getting quick overviews of the 12 minor prophets in the Old Testament. Let me remind you that they are minor in length only. They are major in message. Assyria was a problem for many of the prophets, and interestingly, they interpreted Assyria and its powerful empire in different ways. Just like we interpret events differently or have different political opinions, so too the prophets watched Assyria and saw the hand of God active in different ways. For example, in Jonah, Nineveh is seen as repentant and the recipient of God's care. In Amos, Assyrian power is seen as the instrument of God to punish Israel for its faithlessness. Here in Nahum, Assyria is seen as ultimate evil opposed to God, so it is only natural to exult in Assyria's downfall. Nahum's name means comfort, and perhaps that's how we can best understand his poem. You see, the Assyrian Empire was a heavy yoke on the necks of the people of Israel. They longed to be free from Assyrian control and for their own nation to be sovereign. So the fall of Assyria was something of a comfort for the people of Israel. Their enemy was gone, and it's only natural to gloat a little bit. It's only natural to see the hand of God leading to their destruction and putting in place the first steps toward the glorification of God's own people. The challenge of Nahum comes to us as it invites us to see God actively shaping the world. I'm not sure that many of us look at world events and try to see that God's hand is active behind them, or to try to grasp what God might be doing. In our world, things are so complex, and it's hard to understand all the implications of events or where they will go. So maybe in the end, Nahum stands as a call for us simply to trust that God is there, that God is acting to bring about God's purpose, and that we are on God's side. If Nahum means comfort, I do believe there is comfort in that kind of trust. One more thing. Nahum is the only prophet who calls his work a book. In another place, he calls it a burden. Other prophets, Jeremiah in particular, understood being a prophet as a difficult thing. Jeremiah, for example, was preaching an unpopular message, one even he didn't like, and he endured the scorn of those around him. But he says, if I try to keep silent, it's like a fire in my bones. Martin Luther sometimes questioned himself, asking, how can I stand alone and be right when everyone else and church tradition sees it differently? Seeing God at work and proclaiming it can be lonely, gut-wrenching work. Where do you see God at work shaping history? Look for it, and like Nahum, rejoice. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.